What's up, Kerr? It's Practically God here. Today I'll be talking to you about the specialists and their special abilities. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Make sure you leave a thumbs up. So let's get underway.
Next up we have the Battery. Being the only daughter and youngest child in a group of 5 siblings, Erin Baker always had to fight to get her way. Following in a family tradition of over 100 years of military service, she watched her brothers enter the US Army one by one, before finally finishing high school and enrolling herself. Driven to excel by her ongoing rivalry with her brothers, she volunteered for airborne school, before crushing the Ranger Assessment and Selection program. Heavily armoured, she fearlessly operates ahead of the front lines, nimbly traversing urban environments as she destroys HVTs with advanced high-explosive munitions. The kinetic armour, charged electrically reactive armour that sublimates enemy bullets on contact, turning them into vapour which dissipates harmlessly. The War Machine. This grenade launcher fires time-fused bouncing frag grenades which explode on contact. Next we have the Firebreak. Prague-born Christoph Hajek is a battlefield problem solver armed with a powerful arsenal of weaponry. He effectively resolves numerous issues over and over again using his favourite tool, which is fire. Whether it's a direct one-on-one confrontation or the strategic denial of areas, there's no questioning Hajek's utility, even if the results of his work can be hard to stomach. Working up close and personal with flame is something that very few volunteered to do, but Hajek thrives on it. He and fire appear to have come to an understanding. Usually calm and dispassionate, the only time he truly lights up is when his enemies do. The Heatwave. Rapid cycling heat sinks dump a stored thermal charge which stuns enemies near the user. And then we have the Purifier. The Nomad. Using his survivalist training to stay alive, Tavo Rojas has gone off-grid. An ex-member of the elite Colombian Rapid Deployment Force, Fudra, he is an expert in jungle warfare, able to blend into the forest and survive off the land almost indefinitely. After discovering too late that the targets of their last S&D mission were their own, his unit was broken up, its members reassigned to other teams. Soon, under suspicious circumstances, his ex-squad mates started turning up dead. As a sole survivor, he seeks retribution for his fallen friends, using his skills to turn the environment against his enemies. The Rejack. When near death, an injection floods no man's body with a nanite serum capable of rapidly reconstructing damaged tissue and organs. The Hive deploys traps which release swarms of dead nano drones when trapped, rapidly stripping the flesh from victims' bones. The Outrider. As an orphan on the streets of Rio de Janeiro's Requincha favela, Alessandra Les Castello survived on her sharp eye and keen wits. Given an education in one of the city's international missions, she spent her spare time traversing rooftop to rooftop, watching the people moving on the streets below, noticing patterns and learning how to predict their movements. After joining the Brazilian army at 18, her agility and observational skills quickly earned her a place at the BDAOP ESP, the Special Forces. Now an advanced scout, she talks the battlefield, tracking down her prey before destroying it with lethal accuracy. The Vision Pulse. Pulses of cover-penetrating sub-millimeter wavelength radiation revealed the locations of Outrider's foes. There is nowhere to hide with this. The Sparrow. Requiring augmented strength to draw this advanced composite compound bow unleashes devastating explosive arrows that decimate hostile forces. The Prophet. Growing up in London, David Wilkie's always possessed machine empathy. Naturally understanding their function, dismantling and reassembling electronics and machine was basically second nature to him. While serving in the British Engineering Corps, the first set of cybernetic implants he received would jumpstart him on a path to become closer to the metal. He believes that in the fusion of man and machine is the obvious next step and a way to short-circuit evolution. Now heavily upgraded, he represents the cutting edge of the human weapon on the battlefield, using his superior technology and skills to disrupt his opponent's strategies before moving in for the kill. The Glitch. Prophet's affinity for electronics allows him to hack the battle simulation, returning him to an earlier point in time. The Tempest. This charged shot rifle discharges arcs of electricity that shock targets and disrupts the nervous system before chaining to nearby enemies. The Reaper. The product of cutting-edge military R&D project to supplement special operations soldiers in the field. Experimental war robot 115 was one of a single unit of advanced prototype combat robots running the most sophisticated A1 software ever seen. After several politically embarrassing mishaps and budget overruns, the project was cancelled, and most of the prototypes stripped for parts. Fate had other plans for the EWR-115, when years later it was discovered to have been stolen. Reports of sightings of the terrible machine on battlefields around the world began to surface. No one knows why it fights, or who, or if anyone is issuing its orders. Psychosis. Sophisticated hacking subroutines penetrate the DNI systems of the Reaper's foes, creating multiple copies of the deadly machine in their minds. And then we have the Scythe. Reaper's armor peels away to reveal an arm-mounted minigun laying waste to the battlefield. The Ruin. Born into a military family and raised in a tough neighbourhood, Donnie Walsh grew up fearless and headstrong. Joining the army straight out of high school, Walsh was an infantry soldier through and through. The battlefield has become his second home. He is suspicious of covert ops and anything that operates outside of the established chain of command, viewing them as dishonourable. He prefers a straight-up fair fight and knows that there is never a substitute for good boots on the ground. Now cybernetically augmented, he uses their unique abilities to rush headlong into the fray, meeting his enemies with sheer, unadulterated and overwhelming force. The Overdrive. High-power graphene supercapacitors in Ruin's legs discharge, allowing him to overrun his enemies using short bursts of incredible speed. Then we have the Gravity Spikes. Twin charges drive deep into the ground, sending out a powerful, expanding seismic shockwave that destroys everything in range. Sarah, the only child of a feared officer of the 54 Immortals, he Zen was raised within the ranks of the Singapore Quarantine Zone's ruling criminal combine. She proved to be an excellent and dedicated pupil, learning the traditions and honoured lineage of the organisation while pursuing martial training. With a single-minded determination, she worked hard not to disappoint her father or the combine's leadership. At 17, she was elevated to the rank of Enforcer, one of the few who police the combined form within while ruthlessly executing the will of 541 wherever and whenever it might be required. Combat focus. By drawing on her martial training, Sarah's obvious strategic mystery of the battlefield qualifies her for increased tactical support. The Annihilator, designed specifically for Sarah. The Spectre. Next to nothing is known about the presumed wetwork specialist Spectre. The designation itself is a codename agreed upon by the various agencies that have pooled their intelligence on unsolved assassinations, inferring his or her existence based on either evidence found at the scene or from fragmentary reports given by shaken bystanders. Despite heavy redaction, all accounts suggest an individual capable of extraordinary stealth, able to evade or neutralize the most sophisticated of mannered or automated security setups. In every case, Spectre's victims have been slain with surgically precise midline stab wounds with rarely any signs of struggle. The active camo. Advanced metamaterials rapidly change their properties, guiding profons over their surfaces instead of reflecting them, rendering Spectre temporarily invisible. The Ripper. Spectre deploys mono-edged twin blades before gracefully dissecting victims with lethal surgical precision.